Hey, this is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. We are zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on a great viewer question that talks about the narcissist and how they are unsettling, and how this really was perceived in the beginning, perhaps as a positive, but now it has really turned out to be aversive or negative for them, creating attention, something where they feel they really cannot relax. That they always were sort of, in an excited stage around them, and then this sort of got out of control. Realizing that really sort of evolving through this and releasing this, no longer, which really means no longer identifying with it. And when it comes to really that tension, and that unsettling, realize that is really in the beginning where the narcissist is setting the groundwork. They're setting the moves. They're setting the playbook. They're setting the terms of engagement, the terms and conditions, the fine print, so to speak. And you don't realize it because it is absorbed, processed, and felt in the subconscious. So we need to get to the feeling state really as a way to heal and resolve this, being unsettled. So if this feeling of being unsettled, meaning being thrown off, thrown a curveball, thrown a memo, a text, a picture, a missed date, all these different things that cause sort of agitation, and you just sort of sort of a reckless self-abandonment, just sort of your heart will leap out of your chest. That's sort of unsettling. Your jaw drops to the ground. You break out in a sweat, and yet you don't know if this, how to define it. And then it ends up becoming unsettled. So we really have to understand in these feeling states the meaning or importance that you are assigning. So to this, meaning, especially that unsettling, we're talking about the ground underneath you. We're talking about where you stand. We're talking about your perspective. Are you looking, and I talk a lot here on the channel about the priming of the subconscious mind and the images associated. So if we look back at that original unsettling moment, if you could give a feeling, a name, a temperature, a sensation, a texture, and really get to know this feeling state about yourself. So you really have to look at and create like a really custom Encyclopedia Britannica for your own feeling state. And that's really part of going deep, and really healing really within, which is where that unsettling is. It's not like it's always thinking you're overthinking, because it's, you can oftentimes think yourself differently out of and releasing this unsettling tension, guilt, paranoia, so there's a foundational and there's a deserve issue. Foundational, deserve, is this meant to be? Is this right? All this sort of questioning goes on underneath, so to speak, underneath the ground, underneath the water, underneath your subconscious. So it's kind of like always percolating there, if you will. And so that unsettling, if you really have a trouble with that and sort of constantly feeling unsettled, there's usually then an issue that deep inside in the core of yourself, as it's separate, distinct, separate, and identified, as if, and if you don't deserve this independence, or that there's a meaning that you are associating with this independence, that's where your thorn is. That is where the big sty in the eye, the big splinter in your own eye is. And that might take a while to tease out. Just like when you get a splinter under your skin. Remember as a kid, you'd be running around or playing and you got a splinter, and then next thing you know, you can't pull this out. You're crying for help. Sometimes you can get it out. You don't even, can I keep this wood in me? All these different questions. It's kind of like an emotional splinter that you have to be very delicate with. Is this what has grown, that pain, because pain will grow. Pain will grow within. It's not, and so in pain, feeling states are reinforced, rememorized, and rehearsed. Once again, it's not like, oh, I'm going to go and feel unhappy, insecure, fearful, inadequate, and anchored today, and I'm just going to bust through a wall. I mean, you don't go and make that decision and go, yippee-yi-yay, and then send off your tunes, and do this. It's usually people have this as a reactive state. Reactive, which is what oftentimes is encouraged by social media, and is encouraged by headlines. Flip out. I mean, right now here in the U.S., and I know we have a lot of international viewers, so thank you for your viewership, but, things are a little topsy-turvy here, to make it an understatement, but, we're going to keep bobbing along. But, so being unsettled, oftentimes is, the hallmark of change. You got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. In other words, whatever, to create change, to create what's best. We have to change up some things. Break some rules, whatever that idiom means. But, I think that's kind of like, what you really have to understand about what is unsettling, and then that feeling is a choice. And if you're having difficulty with choosing your feeling state, then that's where we have to look at your fine tuning, like literally be able to get down deep to the fine tuning of the wires, the feeling, the temperature, the volume, and really understand that unsettling feeling. And that if you're still grabbing onto what is unsettling and you're still wrestling with it like a Loch Ness monster from the deep, you don't know, but it's just a monster within you, you have to say, to what degree is my identity identified with this pain, and to what degree in the meaning that I'm associated with this challenge, this struggle, and what have I signed in or signed up for with this feeling, in the meaning that I'm giving. So in other words, to continue and to reinforce and rememorize, that is cycled and processed within by the subconscious. And the subconscious really works more poignantly and more powerfully with images than with the spoken word. And so for in other words, if you say, a warm crackling fire, that's there waiting for you when you're coming in from the cold. I mean, you have an image there, versus like, you have just a pile of sticks. You have a pile of this, and you got to make your own. And then you've got these different images. Which is unsettling to you? Which, sparks and ignites that unsettling? There's usually an image, then I feel, that's running the feeling. And with that, you have to understand that, where is in deep the image that is saying that you don't deserve to be independent, whole, I am, and then have that linked in with an image to the positive. In other words, have a healthy, normal, I've got this, I deserve, I'm okay to be on this path, this is right, air quotes, and I'm not hurting anybody, or whatever else is tied up in releasing that tension, that negativity, that limitation, that restriction. Those are self-limiting beliefs that are instilled, and that's what negative self-limiting beliefs look like and feel like within. So you have to really look at that tension. And if you could sort of, understand, and usually it has a fear base, that a survival, I cannot make it. I don't have, and I have not been able to cultivate within. So realizing that that does need to be cultivated and acquired. So like our video, like our viewer had stated, we talked about sort of resensitizing, getting new habits that can help this change up this emotional state. Realize that To change the physical state, it is not done with the mind, it's done in the physical body. So we have to learn the power of the body and nonverbal communication. And really, once again, this is not advertised to. What is it? Amy Cuddy, power moves. I think she's got a TED talk on that. And so we talk about like the executive, she talks about the carriage, so for example, if you're walking in a city and then you see, somebody walking with a lot of confidence, they've got a place to go, they've got a focus, they've got a center, and then they're confident in that, they've got a sense of security, that they can do this. I'm in the right place. Everything is clicking on all cylinders. And that might be an acquired state, but that is the body language that comes with repetition and experience, with knowing, not guessing, not wishing, not wondering, but with knowing. So there is a know state that you have to cultivate, which is very difficult to get to. It's kind of like, a scavenger hunt, as if only the special can find this knowing state. It's like reserved for the special few who want it, or want it bad enough. So like our viewers stated, we were talking about the chai latte, and and how you can develop sort of new inner states that have different temperatures that are designed to be in accordance with that image that you want for yourself. So stay with me here. So this might be acquired. So you have to look at how you acquired the pain, what was done to rehearse and rememorize and really lock it into place, and to what degree was that rewarded and applauded or what have you. So a lot of people have a lot of different positive and negative in the mix, which are keeping it very resistant to change, like a trauma bond. And so like our viewer is stating with her, that Blue Lotus chai latte, you have to make it according to taste. So she was, so faint tones of soapy bathwater. In other words, they talk about, how to make it. And you can then, make it with the water, and then you stir in these seasonings. In other words, so stay with me here. And then you can add like creamer. So like I use this Funfetti creamer, a coffee mate creamer, and it's like an amazing drink. And it's very stimulating, very warm. The spices will stimulate. So you have to recognize and kind of work with the body to cultivate these knowing states, which can be gradual, and then all of a sudden, boom, I got it. So you have to stay with the process. Like she says, she's not a quitter. So you have to understand that you have to be understanding where is the weakness, where is the vulnerability, where is the thorn that is creating sort of that emotional sliver that you have to tease out under the skin. And it's not always under the skin. It can be like in the organs, meaning like it can be deep in your abdomen, deep in your digestion, deep in your heart, deep in your muscles, deep in the way that you move. Do you understand? So, getting back to, I think it's Amy Cuddy, and she talks about this. So you have to understand really the muscle memory that is then part of this. And these are big concepts. So, you might need to jot this down, and when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Meaning, this might seem like it doesn't really make sense. We had a viewer said this is really advanced. So we've got a ton of videos here. If you want some like remedial, you can always circle back through the other videos and replay it. But when we're talking about that unsettling, that tension, realize you're not alone. It might feel very isolating, alone, woe is me. Let's throw me even a pity party. You might have thrown a lot of pity parties for yourself. Sad times, melancholy. I missed out on this. So you have to understand that there's a grief work, underneath this. In other words, there might be a feeling of loss. And what did you feel that you lost? And then working through that. So knowing thyself, Plato. We need to get back to the garden, Joni Mitchell. We need to pull out the blanket, the binky, we need to get down to the security blanket and get to a knowing state. And if you don't know, then you need to say, peace and harmony. Okay, I can admit in the privacy of these videos, I do not know. You're then what we call consciously incompetent. This is a certain phase that people will go through while they're trying to learn something. But if you're a narcissist, someone who doesn't feel that they have to change something, then they won't change. So if you're trying to change all about you and the people in your life are not changing, you're going to continue to experience this ongoing sort of, underneath the rock, sort of unsettled state. In other words, if you're still around, you're still playing the same music, you're still playing the same image, you're still playing the same moves, the same food, the same drink, the same, way you do things, then you're just rehearsing and rememorizing the same insecure state. So we're talking like our very courageous and bold and brave viewer here who is, working on it. And I am so proud that you're trying something new and realizing that if it is not, and we're going to just use your experience here. I'm not going to use the first, but if at first the change is not palatable, it doesn't taste good. You need to then develop it. Do we need to sweeten this? What do we need to put in? How can we make this so it is, some people like to drink the bitter herb, what is the, taste the bitter herb. This is the herb of our ancestors. What was that in the Jewish tradition? So you have to realize that you are in a huge circle of people holding hands that are there on the other side to come through this unsettling successfully. So, working again, and this is really deep, so this is like maybe advanced, but then looking at sort of the rhythm of your body. What is the rhythm of shame in your body? What is the rhythm of being a failure? What is the rhythm of I don't like myself? What is the rhythm of the narcissist doesn't love me? What is the rhythm of I've been cheated on, lied to? This and, what does the body feel like? Oh, peace and harmony, I don't want to go there right now. I've worked so hard to get out of it. Well, you have to kind of know your body, and then be able to say, I'm okay with setting that aside and no longer reclaiming that. And then if you have a problem with that, then we have to understand that part of your identity is then holding on for dear life to that pain, as if you're still, getting washed away by the currents and you're holding on to this rock for dear life. Like your identity, your I am, is then spun, rehearsed, rememorized, with the do you understand? So people who fake themselves through it, false confidence, they're gonna then maybe have this outer shell, and especially now with the whole reset, the whole pandemic, that outer shell might not be a go-to place right now. I mean, especially for people who don't have that same outlet. Meaning, there's a lot of unsettling feelings. And so you have to realize this is kind of what's going on. David Byrne, the Stop Making Sense, I'm a Real Live Wire. So if you watch that song, we kind of circled back to it. I'm showing my age. David Byrne, Stop Making Sense. I think the name is called Psycho Killer. Don't be afraid by the title. But if you then look at his percussiveness, And I don't know the full analysis of that song. I have not even researched it. This was just like on the tip of my tongue. But, if you look at his he's very much known for his dance style and, of course, his musical style, but like his moves, he's got that, that oversized jacket and, his moves that is David Byrne. But, these are the moves of enlightenment. These are the moves of, qu'est-ce que c'est? Like, let me be so polite. Let me pardon myself away from you. I'm just going to run away now. Pardon me. I mean, as if he's being so polite to say, I need to catch the bus for my own life here. Pardon me. Like he's going to curtsy, away from this ne'er-do-well. I don't even know, but what I'm trying to explain and use that as a tool for your healing is to realize that your challenge today, find that music. It might be, something that really sort of picks up your percussiveness and you go, whoa, I got the move. It makes you move a little bit and you get that no, I know the moves here. And you make it up, just like Elaine in Seinfeld. It might be, you might have a goofy move, but, make your move. And what is that move for you that is the no state, the happy state, that I'm excited? And it doesn't, have to be going on for 5 minutes, just so you can register and know. And then, what is my no state? And then how can I manage this? So before that, unsettled usually went into uncharted territories. You might have had pain for uncharted vast amounts of time, terrain. You might have gone up some craggy hills, down the slope, backslided, through some muck, through the falls that you got washed upon, washed your feet. So in other words, only you know that journey. David Byrne again, Slippery People. I mean, I haven't listened to this for a long time, but this is just for you to understand within is the psychological healing tool here is to realize that the body has really registered that unsettling, and is the meaning there is so what is the message that is, and then realize what that is, even if it's very deep, even if it's like a thorn in your side, just really, really big, in other words, and can you take that out? And then the miracle of healing, in other words, and knowing what that looks like, feels like, and that allowing state, that permission, has to be within. So there's kind of like a valve within that you have to realize. And then if you're resistive of that, that is something that you feel that you don't deserve, because there is something in that original relationship where you were overshadowed, cut down, judged, held in a trauma bond, held back, self-limiting beliefs. So this is what that looks like played out in the human life, in the human being, in that human physiology, in the anxiety and tension. So you have to really unwrestle it, and say, okay, wow, I realize. And so the wrestling will not resolve the pain. It's, you're fighting fire with fire, and you have to stop fighting for it to stop. And if you're stop fighting and for some reason this is an undesirable state, you have to realize then maybe that there was a lesson or an imprint that was put there, that B state was not desirable, that was not important, that was not meaningful. And once again, just to circle back, when I was working in the new product development, it was just like some of the best times of my life, like just the creative brainstorming, working for Fortune 500 companies with new product development, tagline, advertising, and realize that certain states, like peace, are not oftentimes advertised. So you might not get a lot of reward from society for healing. You might get a lot of rewards for staying in a unhealed or unsettled state. I remember when working on a specific campaign, and one of these great colleagues who I really look up to, she did not like peace. She is not, peace is not a desirable state for her, and she's very creative. I mean, the mastermind, behind a lot of our projects, putting them together, and amazing person, extremely talented, vibrant, great looking, all that good stuff. And that is, and she's like at the top of her game. So realize that peace is not advertised. It is not always desirable, but yet it is a very high level state. David Hawkins, power versus force. And so you really kind of have to realize why, and realize the meaning that's sort of wrapped up into that. And then what is the gradual releasing, and then the identity becoming even stronger, better, more powerful as it alchemizes and works through that unsettling to a sense of resolve and strength. And this is the new, in other words, the knowing that a process. This might take some time to eke out, carve out, and get your life into that new stage, that new dimension. But it is a feeling. So we have to really stay in that feel state and work on cultivating 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 30 minutes of feeling in a no state. And then with that cultivating to taste. In other words, your taste, your deserved taste. I deserve to know. I deserve to grow in positivity, and do it to taste, like our viewer had stated. And then working on that, and then cultivating on resensitizing all senses. So the vision, the hearing, the taste, the skin is a big one. The breathing, and taking, the recovery date is all part of this intertwined. So we'll talk more about this in future videos. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, here today. I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and for goodness sake, please donate. If these videos have been helpful for you, please feel free to give back to the channel. Please, comment, support, thumbs up, all that good stuff. Have a great day.